activity 3 is where you're going to be turning to. Okay, do you remember reading?
So do you mean page 3, by the way?
No, activity 3. So keep turning. No, you were already there. I already turned you right there. Activity 3. I'd already turned it in for you. I know, remember what I said? We're reteaching, we're reviewing this part of the lesson. Or this activity part of the unit. Okay, do you remember reading this book?
Yeah.
With Miss Sedona?
Yeah.
Okay, do you remember what it's about?
It's about erosion and water.
And water. Okay, let's talk about what erosion means.
Can Miss Bill come in and do another corner?
Yeah.
I'm having to video myself. That's the only reason. It'll only be like 10 to 15 minutes. Okay. Erosion. So what is erosion?
Erosion is when like an island or something takes place and shapes itself out, like the meteor shaped most of the earth out because it killed the dinosaurs at the same time.
Okay. Anyone else want to add on to that?
Erosion is also when ice gets into cracks and it comes over time and then it breaks into pieces.
Okay. What breaks into pieces? The land or the ice?
Land.
The land. Okay. You have anything you want to add? No? Jasmine?
When erosion happens is when like it's heavy raining and then like a house, it could like fall or break.
Jackson, put them back, please. Oh, you're sharpening? That's fine. Okay, yeah, so the actual definition, all of you are correct, is erosion is a wearing away or a reshaping of the land. Hurry up, please, quickly. So what are different things that occur to the land that reshape it? Josiah already said ice. What else? What else occurs to the land or acts onto the land that changes? Okay, we're not getting up and sharpening. Sit down, please. Ava. He already said ice. What are some other ones?
The rocks, like the mountains.
Okay, what else?
Rain.
Rain. Okay, so what is rain?
Rain is water.
Water. Okay, so ice, water. What else? What other things act upon the land, or what makes erosion happen?
Volcanoes.
Okay, what else? I'm looking for specific. Okay.
Wind.
Wind. There you go. That's one I was looking for. Good. Wind. Okay, so we're not going to reread this because it's pretty lengthy, and you guys already know what's going on. I just wanted to talk about it for a second. Okay, so erosion, again, is the weathering away or reshaping of the land. And there's many things that can cause that, like we said, wind, ice, water, different things like that. Okay, what is a landscape?
Oh, wait, I know what a landscape is.
Tell me.
A landscape is like a giant place. It's kind of empty a little.
Okay.
But it's really, really big.
Okay. Anyone else have anything to add? It's okay if you don't. No? That's fine. Landscape is the form of land in a particular area. Okay, what's a canyon? Has anyone ever...
canyon?
That's what I meant. Sorry, yes.
A canyon is where there's two mountains that it looks like they're just walking up to each other, and then in the middle there's a big giant gap.
Okay, do you know what the big giant gap is called?
It's called a canyon.
Okay, but there's another word for the big giant gap between the two pieces of land. Starts with a V.
Volcano?
No, a volcano, it looks like a mountain and it spews
Lava.
lava, yeah. So a canyon is a deep valley. Valley, okay? A canyon is a deep valley or with steep sides. So you were talking about the sides where you were talking about how it looks like they're walking up towards each other.
Yeah.
Those are the steep sides, and then in between is a valley. And there's often a river that flows in the bottom. So has anyone ever been to the Grand Canyon?
I've been to the Grand Canyon. That's where I go.
That's a canyon.
I think I've been before.
Let me show you this picture. I don't know if I can bring it up.
That's where I went
It's
to
kind
go
of
get
small.
ice cream.
But you see how here are the two steep sides, and then in between is the valley, and there's usually water.
Yeah.
So like the Grand Canyon is humongous, and it has a really, really tall sides, and then the really, really low valley is where the river is. Does that make sense?
And the river
Does it kind of look like that?
Yes.
And the river kind of like had a was super high back then, and then it swished and splashed and broke the rocks in, and now there's a giant gap, which is called the valley.
Yep, so the valley is the low area on the Earth's surface found between two mountains or hills, like in the Grand Canyon. What is weathering? Does anyone remember what weathering is?
Oh wait, I know what weathering is.
Hold on, let someone else try, Jackson. Does anyone, the three of you, remember what weathering is? Tell me.
Wind.
Okay.
Rain.
Wind. What else can cause weathering?
Rain.
Water.
Yeah, water.
And
Did I say wind?
yeah, you said wind. Wind, water, and
Ice.
what's the solid? Yes, ice. So weathering is the process where the rocks are broken down into smaller pieces by the wind, the water, or the ice. So the process of that happening, the wind, the water, and ice, what it does to the rocks, that whole process is called weathering. Does that make sense? It's a little confusing.
Yeah, I know. It makes sense.
It makes sense to you? Okay, good. Okay. So we talked about the vocabulary words. Expand and grind. Does anybody remember what expand means?
Oh, I remember.
Josiah, tell me.
Expand is like when you have like a balloon and you can put air, then it gets bigger.
So it gets larger. It expands or spreads out or grows. Okay, what about grind? Do you remember what grind means? Jackson,
I remember.
tell us.
So if you so you have a big tree of wood, and you take off the leaves and stuff, and you cut down the branches. You make a grinder, and then you put the wood in the grinder, and then turn it on, and then it shred into tiny little pieces.
Okay, so grind means to crush something into tiny pieces, right? Okay, and then what's a landslide? I know you guys have been working on that in your project where you're trying to save the houses. Okay, thank you. Where you're trying to save the houses. You know what I'm talking about in your project?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, you're trying to save the houses from what?
Water.
Okay, but what does the water do to the earth? Creates a what?
It creates a tsunami, which is
Not a tsunami. A tsunami is a wave.
hold on, what?
Flood.
A flood, but what is it? What does the water do to the earth?
It no.
It shapes it out.
Okay. Okay, what's a landslide?
A landslide is
Let's
like
let Josiah go.
A landslide is when like rocks fall down a mountain.
Okay, so they slide down or fast erosion of rock on the side of a mountain or cliff. So anything, water, wind, whatever, if it makes it slide down the mountain very quickly, which can damage things that are at the bottom, correct? So in your project,
we
what's
are
at the,
trying to save the houses.
the houses, which are at the bottom, so kind of like the valley, kind of sort of on the side of the mountain. You're trying to save it from the earth or the sand or the
Like
gravel.
I'll just call it a
sliding.
plasma.
Okay, you're trying to save the houses, correct, from a
Yes.
landslide.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, let's look at
presentation on erosion. In this presentation, you will learn how different natural events change the shape of the surface of the Earth. You will explore how these different events bring about change and see how these changes have helped shape our planet. The Earth is an interesting place. Its surface is covered with tall mountains, wide deserts, low valleys, deep canyons, running rivers, and calm lakes. Did you know that these landscapes or forms are always changing?
what is this?
That is a volcano.
That is a volcano.
Every day, the land is being weathered or broken down by forces such as water, wind, and ice.
We already
This
talked about all
wearing
three of
away
those.
and reshaping of the land is called erosion.
We're probably gonna use ice on our houses.
Yes, you might. You're gonna try all
Water
different
is
ways
one of
to
the
protect
forces
the
that
houses.
cause erosion. Water that isn't absorbed by the soil after it rains, or water that flows down from the mountains can form a stream of water. The moving water picks up loose rocks along the way and slowly, over thousands and thousands of years, becomes a river. This river carves a deep path in the ground. As thousands more years pass, this path becomes deeper and deeper and can eventually result in the formation of a path that is so deep it is called a canyon.
So this is how the Grand Canyon was shaped and formed.
So
Any
first
canyon,
it
that's
was
how
like-
they're made. So first the
There was
water,
nothing, it was just sand.
but then like it rained or something and the water didn't soak into the ground, and then it eventually carved a little river
And
into
then
the
it
ground,
carved it a little
and then
bigger.
over time,
After 10,000 years.
so we have 100 years, 10,000, 2 million. So over time, it carves deeper and deeper into the earth, and it creates a river. And then over,
and then
more
2
time has
million
passed.
years.
It carved even deeper, and it created a canyon. So what's the low part of the canyon called again?
A valley.
A valley. Very good.
One of the world's most
So there's
spectacular
an actual
examples
picture.
of this type of erosion is the
Wow.
Grand
The
Canyon.
Grand Canyon,
The
which is in the
Colorado
state that we
River
live in.
cuts through this enormous
I go through
277-mile-long
the
canyon.
to go to my
The
other
Grand
house.
Canyon is 6,000 feet deep at its deepest point and 18
See?
miles
There's the river.
wide at its widest. That's as deep as 20 football fields. Erosion that has
Jeez.
continued over millions of years is responsible for this glorious formation. Think of what it will look like in another million years.
So here's the
Oh,
river that
gosh.
shapes the canyon, and here are the really steep sides of the canyon.
Yeah, think of what happened
Erosion by
after
ocean
1
water can
million
change the
years
shape
ago.
of coastlines. Strong ocean waves constantly crash against the shore. Ocean water slowly erodes away the rocks and cliffs. The water pounds the rocks into pebbles and reduces pebbles into sand. The eroded pieces from rocky cliffs can eventually become a sandy beach.
So that's how a beach is made. So here you have the land, and here you have the water. And you know how waves crash into the land?
Yeah, like
Well, constantly, they go all the time. They're going, they don't stop. So over time, it starts to break away or erode down the Earth's surface, which then creates rocks, and this all happens over time. Does this happen overnight?
No.
No, this happens over very long periods of time.
I've
so we have
actually seen a
100 years, 10,000 and 2 million. I'm sorry, 2 million. Over time, it eventually breaks off into the little rocks or pebbles, and then the little pebbles, the water is it's causing the erosion, and it causes the rocks to turn into sand, and then that's how we get beaches. So here's what it looked like before, and then over time, with the erosion from the water, the force of the water onto the land creates the beach. Does that make sense? Okay. You okay?
Have you ever left a water bottle or soda can in the freezer? The ice that forms expands and causes the can or bottle to swell and even explode. Water can do the same thing to rock. If water seeps into the cracks in a rock and the temperature drops, the water will freeze and press against the rock, creating large cracks that can eventually break rocks apart. Ice can crack streets and sidewalks the same way. Notice how the rock in the picture shown has cracks? Do you see that pieces of the rock have fallen off? This is from freezing water eroding away its side. Over time, water from rain and freezing ice can create interesting patterns in rock, as shown in this image. See how the water from rain and freezing ice has etched grooves into the rock and created jagged peaks?
So like she talked about, or she mentioned, putting water in a water bottle and putting it in the freezer, and sometimes it can cause the water bottle to explode because the ice expands. Remember how we talked about the word expand? When you blow air into a balloon and the balloon expands. Well, a water bottle is not stretchy like a balloon, so it can't stretch as the water freezes. Does that make sense? So it breaks or it cracks like a rock would. A rock is not made of the same material that a balloon is made from, so it can't stretch. Does that make sense? Just like the water bottle. So instead of stretching like the balloon, it cracks. So that's how all these little tiny, see how this is all edged, jagged, I mean. It's all it's not smooth, it's not straight. Yeah. That is because water seeped into, hold on 1 second, Ava. Water seeped, like it rained or something. Water seeped into the cracks, and then it froze, and then it broke the rocks. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay, what's your question?
So weather is kind of like a freezer to the rocks. It's just so the weather that's like the cold weather is like a freezer with like a water bottle, but that's a rock that's why it like breaks into little tiny pieces, and that's what makes the little patterns.
Yes, I do understand what you're saying.
Glaciers are giant sheets of ice that form from snow that does not melt. They form in high places, and as gravity pulls on them, they move slowly downhill. As the glaciers move, pieces of rock frozen into the ice move with them, like a giant frozen river.
Okay, let's look at your launch log. Okay, Jackson, can you read us this?
Yes. What forces do you think were involved in the erosion of the surface of the land to create this landscape? Explain your reason.
Okay, so look at the landscape. What does that look like?
It looks like it's a beach and there's a little river, like a tiny little river flowing through the rocks right here.
Okay, what does it look like to you, Josiah? What kind of land?
Looks like it is like a little pond and something turned into sand.
Okay, what does it look like to you? Same thing, or? Let me look at it. Okay, yeah.
It, right here,
Mm-hmm.
it looks like a valley.
Okay, what about you, Jasmine?
It looks like a beach, but different.
Okay, so it says, let me read it one more time. What forces do you think were involved in erosion of the surface of the land to create this specific landscape? Okay, what kind of forces do you think? Do you think it was wind, water, ice? What kind of forces do you think created that specific landscape?
I'm thinking ice.
Okay, don't tell us why, not yet. You say ice, what do you think?
I think water, rocks, and sand.
Water, rocks, and sand, okay.
I think ice.
Ice, okay, what do you
I
think?
think earth.
An earthquake? You think an earthquake created this? Is that okay? Is that what you wrote? Yeah, you did write that. Okay, so I want you to read me what you wrote, Jackson.
The sea shaped it out, and it took a really long time. I didn't do much because I didn't get much time.
That's okay.
Because I got in late.
That's okay. So you think it was the sea, so water, right?
Yeah.
And then what did you write?
I think it happened fast, and it happened by rain, ice, dust, and wind.
Okay, Ava?
Read this.
Yeah, just tell us, a gist of what you wrote.
Erosion happened when the wind and sun, also rocks, hit the big rock. And that's what made the erosion.
Perfect.
And it
No, go ahead, finish.
and it happened fast.
You think it happened fast? Okay, Jasmine, tell us what you wrote.
Erosion happens when an earthquake erupted. I think it happened fast.
Okay, so now I want you to think about, why is the surface of the earth always changing? Why is the surface of the earth always changing? Think about it in your brain. I'm gonna give you like 15 seconds. Think. Why is the surface of the earth always changing? Okay, Jackson, I want you to tell Josiah. Ava, I want you to tell Jasmine.
I think that the earth is always changing because of the four elements: earth, water, fire, and
So the surface,
air.
so
But five elements because there's ice
know-
added to it because it could
and
crack.
what was the question again?
Why is the surface of the earth
Side.
always changing?
It's because of the five elements: ice,
Okay, tell her then.
water,
So
fire,
I think the
air,
water surface of the earth
and
is changing
earth.
is because
Did that already say earth?
the years pass by and then it'll start looking different.
The five elements is
Okay.
what it made it.
What makes it look different though? Erosion.
Erosion.
Okay.
Wind.
Water can change the landscape quickly or slowly. What do you think?
I think slow.
You think slowly? Okay. Give an example of how water changes the earth.
So the water, so the mountain, and then the water,
Okay.
and then half of it goes away, and then it breaks.
Okay.
off.
What makes it hit the earth like you're explaining it to me with your hands?
The water and the water always has waves because
The waves are what are hitting
and
the
then it
earth,
goes
correct?
boom boom, and then it's all gone.
And
And
then
that's
it
what
creates-
also creates underwater caves.
Cool, very cool. Do you think that with the waves, with it hitting the earth, like we talked about in the picture just a minute ago, that happens quickly, or does that take time for it to happen?
It takes like time.
It does take time. It takes time. That's the biggest thing with erosion. It takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. Now things can happen overnight, like a landslide or the
A
rocks
mudslide.
falling off or something that can happen overnight. But what caused the force that caused that is something that happens over time. Does
Because
that make
I
sense?
saw erosion once. I saw it.
Very cool. Okay. Any questions? Nope. We're good. All right. Okay. Cool.